About 29 days until the conduct of the 2023 elections. So, get your PVCs ready to vote for the election. Today on the program, Sagay backs Tinubu over alleged sabotage, says somebody is playing a game, and later in the show, APC, NNPP and ADC won against election postponement. I'll be hanging out with Chris Kendi, Wandu and Asuko James. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. We begin with one of the new projects in Lagos State, recently commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari, where, according to reports, the Blue Rail is expected to transport more than 7 million residents of Lagos monthly. According to the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Gbega Akoshile, the infrastructure constructed by the Lagos Metropolitan Transport Authority will transport 250,000 passengers daily, while ongoing construction on the Red Line, which extends 37 kilometers from Agbado to Ebutimeta, will be completed before the end of May. This is novel seeking for state government. Yes, it's more than novel. Because if the federal government is coming together to do this kind of thing, we know that. But in Nigeria, I think Lagos is blazing the trail.
Mm-hmm. It is, and for those of us that were born and have been bred and can call ourselves Lagosians, this is a very good one. You know why? Anyway, this didn't start today. This issue of Metro Line started as far back as in the 80s.
Yes.
During the time of Lateef Jakonde. Mm-hmm. I remember vividly. Why do I remember vividly with nostalgic feelings? Because my father worked with the company that was supposed to preparing to build that yes. It was called Speedbat. I can't forget that name. My dad was one of those that were working in that company. Until the military came, led by General Muhammadu Buhari, and everything turned upside down. And I remember vividly what my family went through at that period. Because my dad lost his job, so many of his friends and the rest of them. And this is a man that was catering for 3 children. And it was very, very bad. So for me, this project is noteworthy. And that is why most often than not, when you look at Lagos and look at the consistency with which the Lagos state government have been going through, even right from the 80s to the 90s, from 1999 to 2003, you come to realize that there seems to be a roadmap of which every successive government that comes in works on. This project wasn't started by Sanwo-Olu. It wasn't. It wasn't started by Sanwo-Olu. I remember vividly during the time of, if I don't remember that of Asiwaju, but I remember vividly that of Ashola. So many attempts were made. But in nowhere it is even much painful. And why? Asoko, I don't know whether you've been to Port Harcourt some years back. During the time of Amechi. There was something similar. I was in Port Harcourt, I've been to water line, monorail. I've been to water line, I've been to all this Romo, and I saw that if you are heading to, you will see the rail part. Yeah. Just crossing, and you think by today that of Port Harcourt would also taken place. But you know what? Immediately, Amechi led government. That was the end of that project. That was the end of, and so many billions were sunk into that project. And you continue to ask yourself, what happened? So, to me, for us in Lagos, and I continue to say, we are congratulating ourselves for me to see a project of this man. You know why? This in itself, if you look at the perennial traffic situation in Lagos.
Yes. That's the
perennial traffic situation in Lagos. I schooled at Lagos State University last week, and I know the traffic on that Mile 2 up to Okoko, then going as far as Badagry. So this in itself is going to ease up the transport system in that, and very in an air conditioned in Nigeria. not the other type that will be seen, and not the locomotive one that will be seen. So I commend the Lagos State government, I commend the governors, and all those that have. My own challenge here is that I hope we'll be able to have the maintenance, being able to maintain, because ours is not starting a project, but having the maintenance culture, be able to maintain anything. And good enough, even if the state is already talking about probably linking Abeokuta to even Lagos. You can imagine what that was for Nigeria.
More than 7 million residents, Lagosians will be conveyed monthly, and you know what they said, there are 250,000 passengers daily for a state with 20 million people. You can see that will go a long way.
And you know, this is just for the first phase. This 250,000 passengers is just for the first phase, which is the Marina to Mile 2. You know, that is the one that they are projecting 250,000. And so they know that in one full month, they will be having close to 7.5 million passengers, you know. This is novel, this is good. Just like CKN said, a governor in Rivers started a project similar, you know, that would have eased off traffic when we are going to water lines.
Yes,
you know,
from to Express.
You know, but all of a sudden it was abandoned. But thank God that we have a governor who did not want this project to just go like that. Because it started with Fashola, even though the initiative, the Lamata initiative started from Tinubu, you know, but Fashola Fashola took it up and stopped somewhere before.
Nobody didn't touch it.
He didn't touch it. You know, till someone decided
they would have commissioned it before now.
Of course, because then you know we had everywhere was buoyant, the economy was buoyant in terms of how much you are making from the dollar, from the oil sales, you know. But there's someone who actually did well in doing this. And what I'm looking at is in the next 3-4 years in Lagos State. Now they are planning the blue line. By the time they complete to Okokomaiko and they start the red line, I'm looking at if most Lagosians will start thinking of, can I start living in Ibadan and working in Marina, you know, for instance. Because if, for instance, I'm coming to Lagos, all I need to do is I can stop by in Agbado, enter the red line. If I'm going to Okokomaiko, enter the red line, stop somewhere, maybe where there's a link, and go straight to Okokomaiko. This is how the so-called developed nations have moved, you know, far away from us, because there's a serious master plan in place, and they are following it through. Because even now, people are already saying, "Oh, what of Lekki?" You know, Lekki too, if they can do the green line, I think it's going to be the green line also. So it's just for us to make sure that transportation in Lagos is easy. And one thing about the red line thing, which I've been looking at the project, I don't know if you have gone through that in Ikeja area, is that they linked it up with a bus terminal.
Yes.
So the bus takes you to the bus terminal, you walk straight into the train station, and then you can just easily take the train and go to Marina. So this makes life very easy for everybody. So as it stands now, the 7.5 million people who will be taking that train will enjoy at least, let me say, the dividend of democracy for now. But I am also begging Nigerians or Lagosians, this is not locomotive, where people will go there and begin to sell things, where people will go there and say they want to cut the track. It is different. This one is high.
No, I thought they won't. Because it's electric. They've already told them.
It is electric.
No, it's electric. They've told them. You know, if you decide to go there and think that
it is electric, so this is not you will die instantly.
You will. So
the voltage
anybody
is
wants to
what anybody
can
think of.
You know, know why? The beauty for me is that added to this is the fourth mainland bridge that is also coming. Lagos is expanding. You know the problem with Lagos, with Lagos, we have a very small landmass, but our population is just. This is why if you walk into Oshun, just start on you know where the time was. I start and see city of head. I used to ask most of them, where do these people? Where are they entering every night?
Or go to Marina.
Or you go to Marina. Where are these people emptying into? You understand what I'm saying? So it is a very good, and that is why someone like me, if you ask me, I always find it very convenient. I don't know why the American, but I prefer you be American. I prefer going to UK and London. You know why?
Transport
because
system.
the transport system.
Perfect transport system.
If I'm in US, most of them I'm using Uber. It's always Bolt, Uber, and the rest of it. But in the US, you buy, and I think that is the model Lagos was.
Yeah.
You buy that card. That card
for a month.
That card, you will use it for your bus. The bus, you will use it for the train.
Yes.
And then any other services. That same card, all you just need, enter there, just swap
it up.
Yeah, and whenever you finish, you just stop it and address them. I believe that's because I was listening to I was watching, and I think the general manager of, is it Lamata, whatever, on this lady's program on TVC. That their program one day, and she was saying the same thing, that it's to get to a point where you just have the card. The same card you use for the bus is the same thing you use for the train and the rest of them. That will be
the ferry too.
And the ferry. I remember the ferry when I was working in Apapa. In the late 90s, from Apapa, we just enter that ferry. You are in Marina. You don't need to go through that route from that Liverpool. If you know where Liverpool Brothers used to be, where Liverpool Brothers, you just come there. You enter this thing. Within 3 minutes, you are in Marina, and you come back. So those of us who are working this, we don't need to go through the route of going to the bus and the rest of them. And I think this is what is going to happen with this. So it's very commendable for us. Yes.
So good luck to Lagos State. Now, Nigeria experienced a 40% drop in importation of cars into the country in 2022 due to the introduction of vehicles identification number for clearance. Acting Assistant Controller General Suleiman Bomai says the command was able to uncover attempts to smuggle arms and ammunition into the country concealed in imported vehicles as a result of extensive cargo examination and deployment of intelligence. He added that the command generated 229 billion naira as revenue into the federal government's coffers in 2022. Let's start from importation. You know, it's like we were talking before. It's like no go here now.
No go here. You can't even buy. You can't think of your favorite car if you are not really boxed up. Let me use that word, you know.
Those common they use for Uber.
It's very expensive.
In the range of 3.54 million.
I think what the command is saying, the man is saying is quite true. Because I was having a conversation with Ifunanya Eze, and she actually said some things which I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, before, what we have is people just import cars, and then they had different ports. You can go to the PTML, you have a different duty that they will charge you. For instance, if you are bringing a Toyota 2010, they will give you a different, with maybe a new model or the 10-year value. They will give you a new evaluation that is different. You go to another port, that same vehicle, for instance, Toyota 2010, you go to One, Toyota 2010 can be 10%. You come to PTML, they will give you 20%. You can see that it's different. Then once they now bring it to the consumers, they start selling at the same price. So what the customs now did was, okay, they introduced the vehicle identification number. And that vehicle identification number was what made that drop, that 40% drop that you are seeing. In that, because before, if you bring an accidental car, they will reduce the price for you at the port. But now with the VIM, as you are bringing your car, they value it each year first, and then because they use the chassis number to get the value of that car, whether it's accidented or it's not. So the value that the customs would have placed on that particular car, that is what you will pay for. So people they now see that if I'm going to pay 20%, you go to One, you pay 20%. You go to BTML, you pay 20%. You go to Tinkan, you pay 20%. That is what everybody is now going to pay. That is why we now have that 40%, even if it is accidented. Because accidented, if you are bringing the accidented car, if you are paying 20% now, there's no point going to bring it when you know that you can bring a complete car and you pay your 20%, bring it into the system because they are giving you the right valuation, and then from there. So the customs have really made money. They have tried to see how they can cut corruption because the former method, people were really making money from it. So that is why now if you notice, the Controller General is saying that they made close to 229 billion. And that is a 5 billion higher than what they did in 2021. So this is an avenue for them to really see if this can also reduce. So, but where I am even not entirely happy is that we still have some Nigerians, some brands in Nigeria making cars in Nigeria or assembling cars in Nigeria, but it is still way above and way expensive from the ordinary Nigerians. So if we can have a Toyota being assembled in Nigeria, we have, and they are supposed to even pay us for this advert anyway. If they're having, if they are having all these brands, being assembled in Nigeria, and then it's cheaper. No Nigerian will want to go and bring an accidental car to Nigeria. I will not go and be bringing a 10-year-old car to Nigeria. I will just go straight and know, when was this assembled? Is last year, and I'll buy. So it is something that we'll have to start thinking, because it's good for us economically, we are making money, but at the long run, it is something that the government have to start thinking, bringing more investors into Nigeria for them to, start assembling cars in Nigeria.
So again, that agency, the revenue they generate, 229 billion revenue into the government coffers in 2022. But we still have cases of smuggling in and out of the country.
Yeah. In as much as this is good, and we must also commend the Nigerian Customs for what they're able to achieve. But we might look at as 40% reduction from importation coming through the sea. That is what we're looking at. That's only the port. Now, I can assure you, AY, that out of this 40% drop, you might have additional 20% coming through the borders, unmanned borders. The unmanned borders, Ogun State into Lagos, and those in the north. A lot of vehicles are coming through the north, through illegal routes. At a point, we were told that we have over 1,000 unmanned illegal borders across Nigeria. And I can assure you that so many vehicles are coming through that. The initial problem we're having is that bringing in vehicles through the ports in Nigeria was so expensive that Nigerians start using the Cotonou ports. And they were cutting corners. And the rest of them. So those are the issues. So, but this to me is good enough. But you still have situations where you've seen instances where people are driving on the way, you see customs will stop them. You see that several times. They will stop you and say, bring your paper, and they check and say, you didn't pay. If it's not legal, they'll confiscated. Yes, the vehicle will be confiscated. It happens so much. But where I am also looking at is part of what Asuko said is that there was a time in Nigeria that we were having car assembly plant. We used to have PAN. In Kaduna, in those days, I heard that PAN is still there, but I don't think it's the same PAN that we used to know. Where you know that all the 504, 505, name them 404, even those pick-up. Remember those 404 pick-up of those days? They come from, we call it PAN. In fact, it got to a point that it became a generic name. Any vehicle that is new is PAN. Do you understand? In Badag, in Okoko, just before Okoko here, we used to have Volks. In fact, Professor Pato told me used to be the deputy managing director of Volkswagen of Nigeria. He was. Most people didn't know. Just before my school last year, there was Volks. And they were turning out. I remember vividly what happened when we were in the late 70s. The price of brand new vehicle was about 2,000 naira. I remember vividly the day my dad brought a brand new Volkswagen, brand new. It was 2,600 naira. That was around 1977 or 78. Brand new. Cha-cha. Now, when Nigeria was Nigeria, once you graduate, as a graduate, you'll be given a car, brand new. Then giving house. Those things have changed. Anyway, ask yourself, which day have you used a tiara? Have you used which day have you used your? At a point, I used to ask myself, in this life, remaining my life, will I be able to buy a brand new vehicle that will just tear the rubber on my own and the rest of them? Most of them, the so-called big boys, in those days we used to have upper class, middle class, and there is nothing like middle class in Nigeria again.
Worked out.
It's either it's upper
or we are poor.
So if we are not within the upper, that means we are down there, and that is the situation. But as I said, good enough. I will see the major problem which we realize from this report is that the custom is having serious challenge. 100% inspection of goods is giving them problem. They need the scanner. There is a scanner that they need at the port. And I remember vividly that we spoken on this program some months back that an approval was given for that scanner, and it has been, the money was released from what we heard, and that scanner has not been bought and has not been stored. What that scanner does, from what I learned, is that even vehicle, what it does is that any goods that come, all this one that you start to open, you don't need to open any contract. Pass through it. It's just like the body scanner you have at the airport. Once you walk through, it sees everything you and it makes it much, and that is why we're having so much delay at the port that she's bringing goods and it takes weeks and more for them to be able to discharge it, and they continue to accumulate demurrage on that. Most ships hate coming to Nigerian ports because of that timing. They rather go to other seaports and drop and go. But good enough, the new deep sea port that was commissioned by the president 2 days ago is going to go a long way to be able to assuage some of these things.
As well, at the end of the day, when you want to look at the revenue drive and what they've done so far, at least we are trying to diversify from the non-oil revenue and looking at what the customs, what they're doing in terms of importation. Do you think we've done enough?
Well, we have not done enough. Just like CKN said, if we have enough scanners, we won't have vessels going to other countries to go and, drop our consignments, and then we'll start finding how we'll have to bring them here. Good enough, we now have Lekki Seaport. We want to see how effective that Lekki Seaport will be, whether people will patronize it to the optimum, because that is what we need. We can't just put infrastructure in place and nobody is using it. So we want to see how much will be made. Yes, this is just 229 billion naira, in just 1 year. But I believe they can do better. They can do more than this. If they have those equipment, and then their men, I'm saying their men, are also being efficient and they are not corrupt.
They should be well remunerated.
Of course.
To stamp out corruption.
Of course, because if they are not corrupt, and we have the equipment for them to work, because there's one thing, if you do not have the facility for people to work, they will also tell you, Oga, I can do it in this way for me so that we'll be able to make money. And they will shortchange the government and also make money for themselves. So if the government is serious about making money from the ports, because I'm using the port now, because I don't want to, because it's the man at the port. You must have the scanners, and also scanners for us to have a peaceful country, because you can see he's talking about ammunition. It is the scanners that will look at what is inside. Because somebody can say, I'm bringing a car, a vehicle, it's just car. And at the end of the day, you see that is bringing arms and ammunition. So we have to look for all those things. So anybody that is coming knows that, okay, I'm bringing a car, I'm bringing goods that are not contraband, and then they go through the scanning process, and then they can leave the port. Other goods will come in. Nigeria will make a lot of money through the port. And then we begin to think of how we are leaving the oil sector for those who are into oil sector and make money from the non-oil sector.
All right. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. Stay with us.
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I try to vote to, I go put my hand over Tinubu.
People of Nigeria, make we all come out on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president. Make Nigeria for better. Make you put your hand for APC. If party wey show broom, no forget oh, na broom you go put your hand in. Bam!
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I try to vote to, I go put my hand over Tinubu.
How important is comfort to you? Is it as important as the day you discovered that self-love is the start of good life? Here is a comfort that your self-love, Iderade, transit into your serenity. The opportunity awaits you on this peace of mind as you pay an installment of 24 months with initial deposit of 500,000 naira. Serenity at its finest.
My brother, my sister, do you know that winning an election is not only about getting the majority vote? For that your candidate to be declared winner of the election, he or she must secure 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all states plus the FCT to be president, and 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all local governments of a state to be governor. This is constitutional, and every presidential candidate has had to pass this threshold. Even governors have had to make this mark to get elected in their states. We live in one country with different languages, religions, and ethnic groups. This is why it is not enough to have only northern votes, or southern votes, or eastern votes, or western votes. The only way to get elected as president or governor is by gaining enough support across the country and states. Let us make sure that we know now so that we don't cause an issue tomorrow.
This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO.
Back, if you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout. I have Asukwa James and Chris Kendi Wando still in the studio. Chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Itse Sagay, SAN, has thrown his weight behind the claim by presidential candidates of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, that there are attempts to sabotage his presidential bid through Naira redesign and fuel scarcity. The constitutional lawyer says he is surprised that President Muhammadu Buhari has not called Godwin Emefiele, the Central Bank of Governor, to order on his insistence that there is no going back on the January 31st deadline for the usage of the old currency notes. Asuko, it's always Ogun State. if you remember this time 4 years ago, don't let me start from the primary. 4 years ago, it was a clash of the titans between the followers of Senator Bikule Amosu and Dapo Abiodun. It was the president was there. The president was there, and the president was almost stoned.
Yes.
That day, 4 years ago, 2019, Ogun State. Now, when it was before the primaries, that was when the candidate of the All Progressive Congress made that famous Lincoln statement. And right now, the same Ogun State, the All Progressive Congress, saying that look, something is happening. That look,
I think is
my interpretation. Should we listen to?
Yes, I did. I think Ogun State used to ginger him whenever he goes to Ogun State.
Yeah, the crowd.
And sometimes it shows his confidence and his boldness when he goes to Ogun State. Perhaps maybe he likes Ogun State for a reason. And
since it's just a controversial ground.
Well, you might say controversial because there's somebody who is always causing the controversy behind. You know the person I'm talking about. You know the man at the Baba at O. You know, so sometimes it brings out those issues. You know, for him to make sure that I'm dealing with this man or I'm talking to my. But all in all, I think let's just go to the main issue. The APC. If you are looking at it for the past 2-3 weeks, I have been buying fuel for 240, and we who are not members of any political party and we are just watchers, definitely we are all worried, and we are worried because now I think the thing has even eased a bit because I saw the serious traffic in Lagos and they are selling fuel in places that they were not selling. And if you look at it, you will be wondering, how many weeks, 30 days to the election, I'm using yesterday, 30 days to the election, and people are queuing up to buy fuel. Naira redesign, people have been shouting, even some market women still don't know the new one from the old one. They are just saying, there's a new Naira note, but they have not seen it. And then the CBN government is insisting that come January 31st, we have to remove the old Naira notes and bring a new Naira note, which some people have not even seen. I've not seen the 200 as you are speaking, sitting down here. I've not seen the 200. No, I've seen the 1,000, I've seen the 500, but I've not seen the 200 in my eyes. So imagine if you bring 200 to me, I'm selling it, I'm a trader, and you bring 200 to me, I will tell you it's fake. So let's just be realistic, Ayo. There is nobody, no thinking human being that will sit in his house and say that this government who is APC is not sabotaging the effort of somebody who wants to take it, who, is planning to take over from the government. You understand? So everybody will be angry. And that is why the prof is saying that, Mr. President, there are saboteurs in your government. If you are not seeing it, I am seeing it. And so many other Nigerians who are in support of the APC candidate will also be sharing that sentiment. Yes, the president might be going out, to campaign with him. But these few days, causing untold hardship on Nigerians, does not show that the president is in fact backing the APC presidential candidate. So whether the president and Asiwaju Tinubu, they are friends and they are jojo and they don't war, outside the language, the body language and everything suggests that it's like he's not. So there's a lot of things that is underground that we don't know, and I think that is where Asiwaju actually came out yesterday, to show that his outburst and his anger. There are people, fifth columnists, within the presidency or anywhere who are trying to sabotage his efforts. And they are not helping him. Whether we like it or we don't. There are some people who are still angry that he's their presidential candidate. But that is it. He has won the primaries and the man is not even looking back. He's going forward. So the president has to make sure that everything humanly possible is done for his candidate, except the president does not want an APC government to take over from him. He has to make sure that he's a true party man, make sure that everything is done humanly possible for his candidate to emerge. He has said it, yes. But sometimes people say things and it doesn't happen. Ayo, let's just be frank here. Some people say things and it doesn't happen. So if the president is truly in support of him, yes, the campaign is scheduled, but the thing is, Nigerians are angry because they can't get fuel to buy, and then the so-called Naira note redesign of the Naira note is not in circulation, and somebody is insisting, somebody that the president can easily call. And because when he came back, I was looking at what the president will do. The president goes, you are welcome. Welcome to do what? Go there and solve the problem. People, investors and people who are buying things are saying that there is no dollar. People are still, do you know how much dollar is today? At the black market, people are buying black market at 900. And then you now want people to be happy? People are angry, and I think that is where the frustration came in. Sorry, I'm sounding like this, but you know, sometimes people need to say the truth. And we as journalists are just looking at it, and then the presidency will just sit down and say, oh, and that is the same frustration Professor Sagay is also bringing out.
This thing, I didn't expect it to linger this long. This scarcity, let's start from the scarcity. I wasn't around all through December, so I felt that by the time I come back January, it will be a thing of us. So lo and behold, getting back, and I saw queues everywhere. And I said, okay, now, what Professor Sagay is saying, these are APC members. Do you see this party as a party divided against itself, or they're just stating the obvious that looks what Nigerians are going through?
You're right. This issue is multifaceted. Nigerians, let us tell ourselves the truth. Since 2015, Nigerians have been suffering. I'm not focusing on this government. I'm not looking back at PDP or whatever. What we are seeing now is nothing new. It has been consistently like this. No, wait, let me just...
We've not had a long stretch of fuel scarcity since 2015.
Let me land. We know that every December, there used to be...
Yes, before.
Then it is up to a large extent to some point. But this started coming, and we were expecting that this was going to happen. It wasn't that the government doesn't know that there was going to be fuel scarcity. Immediately the problem in Russia and Ukraine started, this issue started affecting every other country. It was going to come down to now, whether you like it or not. We don't produce a single liter of fuel in Nigeria. Which is why I was taking it back to 2015. If we have built the refineries that we say we are going to build, or that we were promised in 2015, since 2015, we have added 1, 2, 3. We would have been having the problem we have here. So if you understand where I'm coming from, so it is not a problem of today. But let us bring it home. Why? That is whether we like it or not. From what is happening, there is obvious problem in APC. It's obvious that APC is divided now. It must have taken something for Asiwaju to come out and say what he said. If you understand what I'm trying to say. The fact remains that it is obvious that, don't forget, part of Asiwaju's campaign is continuing with some of the legacies of President Muhammadu Buhari. But it's so obvious that he personally does not support some of these new policies. One is the Naira. Two is this problem of this. Why? Do you know that all the banks, majority of the banks have stopped dispensing on their ATM? The whole of, what's the stretch of this road? What's it called? CMB Road. As I was coming, I stopped at GT. I stopped at Polaris. What's this one in front of the gate here? Keystone. None of the ATMs are dispensing. That goes to tell you that there is a problem somewhere. So, then, apart from that, the first thing remains that, irrespective of whatever anybody says, AY, today is just about 29 days to the election. I will tell you for free that Nigerians have made up their mind. Irrespective of whatever everybody campaigns now, most Nigerians have made, the only ones you may be looking at now are the undecided. You know, you need to say undecided voters are the ones. But whether or not whether they made up their mind, whether who to vote for or not, most of them have made up their mind who to vote for in February. But because what you need to ask yourself, why? It is a known fact, and we are journalists. We know that even within the APC, some governors of the APC are hobnobbing with other political parties. It is a known fact. Just as some governors within the PDP are also hobnobbing with other political parties. We know most of them. Now it is politics and politics that is coming to play. Asiwaju's concern, if it's not looked from the surface, one has to do with issue of logistics for the election. If you don't have fuel,
how are you going to do the election?
When we are talking, we are going to the next topic, which is going to be promotion. If you don't have fuel to pay, it will be very practically impossible for vehicles to move. It will be very, very expensive. Don't forget that INEC has a project that has been passed by the National Assembly And I'm sure that in capturing that budget, certain amount must have been paid for fuel because they're going to hire about 100,000 vehicles. If INEC budgeted maybe 180 for fueling for the election, or 190, and now fuel is 280 or 290 or 300. Don't you see that there are going to be some logistic problems there? So these are some of the. So when he is talking, personally, that's how I see it. When he is talking that there is sabotage, it is not only actually that is going to be sabotage. Every other person that is contesting in that election may be sabotage, because one, it could affect movement, it could affect logistic problems and the rest of them. It may even affect the turnout of voters or themselves.
And don't forget, even the ad hoc staff, even
they will be paid. So all this is more of a logistic issue for me as far as I'm concerned. But I will still say that the president, on the issue of Naira, the president, I saw a video. I thought it was a joke. I saw a video just today that the president was interviewed and said there's no going back on the deadline. It was on Premier Times. You can go and check it. Video where he was interviewed recently. He said, as president, this issue of this thing, are we going to? He said no. He said 90 days, 3 months was enough for everybody to. President was looking at it from the point that everybody to return money. He was saying return money. The issue is not to return money. The issue is, do we have enough new notes to circulate?
Exactly.
That is the issue. We are not talking about. Whenever I go to ATM, once I put my card, I press 5,000. That's what I press. You know why? So that I don't have more than enough old note with me. If it's just the old note, I collect that 5,000. As a typical woman, put it in my pocket and continue spending. But if it's new one, I can ask for more. Now the issue is that the president got it wrong when he said it is enough. Most people cannot see this new note.
Exactly.
Even in rural areas, they don't.
Even the CBN governor was saying that sending people there to.
He said now they are moving. CBN governor said they are moving their staff to
replace villages.
This money is not there. The bank are not dispensing this thing, and that is what should be looking.
If you even go to the bank, what they will do is, how much? I want to withdraw 10,000.
They used to miss it.
No, now they saw we'll give you 7,000 old notes, 3,000 new notes. Who does that? As if you are buying Pomo in the market.
You go to the bank. Let me even tell you the irony of it. You go to the bank, you go and deposit your goods, this thing, and that's sign or write your check that you want to collect. What will you be given? They give you the old notes. They give you the old note. So, and Central Bank has said no new note must be paid across counter. That all the money should be put in the ATM. But you go to the ATM, it's still the same old Naira.
Yeah, so you can see why Sagay is saying this. So if we are looking at it holistically, both the logistic part of it.
But some people dropped. So yesterday I saw it online that CBN dropped their
hotlines.
That if you go to your ATM,
we have told them now. Okay, we have
200 million Nigerians. Which hotline? Why? Are you not? Is it not that we discuss issue of your transfer money that was taken from accounts and needs to that those you go to and the thing doesn't dispense and they're supposed to have a return or reverse and it takes you 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You have to go to the bank. They say go and go to your bank and the rest of them and reverse. You send it. They say send us email. We send email to the CBN email, accredited email or whatever, and they don't reply you. So what number are they? How many people are going to cost? How many lines do they have?
I'm even telling you. Remember when they brought their policy? They said, ATM, you'll be having only 200 naira. 200 naira. That's what they said.
It's 1,000.
When you go there, it's 1,000. So if when Godwin Emefiele says some things at times, he himself has to check. I know that he can come down from his office, go to the ATM there, he will get whatever amount he wants. But when once he's making these policies, sometimes he has to go back, disguise himself. I remember then that Fashola used to be governor. At night, Fashola will go out to check what is happening, monitor. He himself has to monitor. Don't send people. Go out and check. Do we still have those notes in the ATM? What denomination do we have? If I said 200, why are they having 1,000? Then from there, you can now make a scapegoat of any of the commercial banks. But whereby you just sit down in your office and you think this will work, it won't.
We are counting down to the 31st of January. Today's 26th.
Yes.
So we quickly go for this final break. When we come back, we'll talk about
shall stand.
How important is comfort to you? Is it as important as the day you discovered that self-love is the start of good life? Here is a comfort that your self-love, Iderade, translates into your serenity. The opportunity awaits you on this peace of mind as you pay in installments of 24 months with initial deposit of 500,000 naira. Serenity at its finest.
This is Obafemi Awolowo Stadium, the first in Africa. A lot of history behind it. Abandoned for another 20 years. We could not find a private company to sponsor it, so we muscled our resources within our budget. And in the last 1.5 years, we spent almost 150 million. Next year, we have another 150 million. That is the pitch coming back. In Surulere, we have a games village. If you know the story of Nigeria's sporting glory, most of our athletes stayed in the games village in Surulere, and it's from here they went to win the medals and glory for this country. We've taken it ourselves. It's a 56 room complex. The first wing, as you can see, has been completed. The second wing on the right, we hope that by January we can commission this, and our athletes, rather than staying in different hotels, can stay in this games village.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Aruna, listen, Akman, Unduka, how will I want you on election day?
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I retire, I vote to. I broom and go put my hand over Tinubu. On election day, I go take my PVC. When I retire, I vote to. I broom and go put my hand over Tinubu.
People of Nigeria, make we all come out on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president. Make Nigeria for better. Make you put your hand for APC. The party will show broom. Not forget to, now broom you go put your hand in. Bam!
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I retire, I vote to. I go put my hand over Tinubu.
Never miss a moment.
With us, a number of Nigerian political parties have criticized some Nigerians for calling for the postponement of the upcoming general elections. These parties urge the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to go ahead with its plan to hold the election as scheduled. Chancellor of Afe Babala University, SAN, Afe Babala SAN, and the leader of the Inri Evangelical Spiritual Church, Elijah Ayodele, were among those who had earlier called on INEC to reschedule the election. The chairman of INEC, Mahmoud Yakub, has however asserted that the commission is ready to conduct the election as scheduled. That's February 25th as sacrosanct.
Yes, it's sacrosanct because it's going to affect every other thing, you know. And if we begin to say, let's call off, it's a lot of work.
Logistics.
Yeah, the logistics is too much, because if you look at INEC chair, the INEC as a commission, they would have sorted out everything. How are they going to move the materials, and even I know the beavers is already on ground and all that, you know. So please, I saw that one evangelical man, one man of God is a part of the people who is being pessimistic. You should be praying that the election should come and go. You understand? Let's not come peacefully. Yes. I felt that years ago, his own is talking about the constitution. How to let's just leave it. But the person that we are even thinking that is supposed to pray for Nigeria to be peaceful is causing problem with his own prayers.
The election will hold. It's not a question whether it will hold. It will hold. And God keeping us alive to see that day. Why I use the word God keeping us alive? It's just yesterday, the governorship candidate of the PDP in Abia State died. And the question I always say, who knows tomorrow? And that is why we will talk to politicians. The thing are just talking, journalists are just let them make the noise.
Make the noise.
You can see everything you like. If it's not the wish of God that you get there, you won't get there. Why? Prince Audu was elected. As the governor, he was elected to become the governor of Kogi State. And what happened? But the fact remains that this election is going to hold. Despite the fact that 2015 was postponed, we had one day delay for 2019. But this very election, I may say it's going to hold, and they put everything in place. And I know that security agencies are ready. This election must hold.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back, and thank you for your contributions too.
Thank you so much.
And up next is we're counting down to the 2023 general elections, 29 days to election. So by 6 p.m. join Nifemi Oguntoye. So. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. So, see you tomorrow. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Bye for now.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Happy New Year! ShopX TV is proud to bring you a very special offer. Yes, from now till January 31st, 2023, we are offering our customers an opportunity to save up to 66% of our best-selling kiddies product. Struggling with energetic kids, but you just can't get them to sleep? You need Happy Nappers, the perfect plate pillows that pull open to a sleepy sack surprise. With a simple pull and zip, your child can snuggle up and nap inside of it.
They are happy nappers. They love to sleep and play with you.
Then, when it's time to sleep, you just pull on their feet. Sleepy time, playtime, anytime is happy napper time. And when the napping is done, they fold back in for even more fun. Ordinarily, play pillows or blankets are not as much fun. They don't hold the heat in, unlike happy nappers. Just look at the fun characters that your kids will love. And the sleep sacks are completely enclosed to keep your child warm and cozy during nap times or even through the night.
Toluani absolutely loves her Happy Nappers kitty cat. It's pink, girly, and fluffy. Everything that she loves. Well, I love it because it's a 2-in-1. She can play with it all day, and when she's tired, she can take a nap in it.
The Tana loves his Happy Nappers Grey Shark. He loves playing with it and has real adventures with the shark. It's been really hard for him to sleep recently, but thanks to his Happy Nappers Shark, he finds it so easy to sleep all through the night. And to be honest, it's simply easier for me too as well.
With millions of units sold worldwide, Happy Nappers is now available in Nigeria exclusively from ShopX.